Hi, I'm the Recruiting Maven and welcome back to my channel. Today's topic of conversation is 5G Explained, or 5G 101 as I like to call it. With that said, I just want to say a quick thank you for those of you who like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I deeply appreciate your kind support. For those of you who are new to my channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. I do have an ever-growing playlist with career tips and advice, so make sure you check that out. I do actually timestamp all my videos, so if you want to skip ahead, make sure you check out the description box below and you can go to that section right away. So for those of you who are not tech savvy and are still with me, I just want to make sure I explain it to you in easy to understand terms, because I don't know if any of you remember, but remember the cloud? Nobody seemed to know where the cloud is. Well, that whole fiasco, they even made it into a movie. So I don't want this to happen. There's just so many buzz around what it is, what it's not. Is it dangerous? Is it not dangerous? So we're going to cover all these aspects in detail. And again, if you want an outline and take notes, copy and paste all the timestamps in the description box below to make it easy for you if you want to do that. All right, so what is 5G? And when you ask most people, they'll say it's faster internet service. And actually it really is, but that is not why it's such a big deal these days. So 5G promises to actually replace Wi-Fi, broadband, and cable. Now, because we don't have the necessary infrastructure, specifically in the United States, nothing's going to happen for a while. In essence, I hate to say it that way. But really, we won't have the infrastructure until about 2025, which is still a ways away. And so what 5G enables IoT, which is the Internet of Things, is for devices to speak to one another, in other words, communicate. Now, within 5G, because it's a shorter wavelength, we are going to need more towers. And so being able to drive or get into, I should say, a driverless car is going to be crucial, because those pieces or those points of communication are going to be there and hopefully make us all safer. I don't know about you, but I still have my doubts. But, you know, it's like anything. You know, you start off and you question it, and then you get used to it, and then you think it's always been around and it's not a big deal, right? We all get used to it. But regardless of that, one of the bigger pieces within IT, and I've spoken about this in the past, is, say for example, in manufacturing, you have a water bottling plant in which, you know, each of the bottles that they have in the process of being filled and packaged and everything in between that happens in that line is going to be registered by the computer at one end. The actual bottle will have an RFID tag, and it will communicate via 5G and let the main center, the main console, the computer, however you want to call it, let them know where that particular bottle is. Has it been filled with water? Is it being packaged? And then how many of those have been packaged? How many bottles have been packaged? How many packages have been filled with water bottles that are ready to be shipped? Labeling, all of that stuff. We will be able to pull up in a report very quickly if you're the operator sitting on the other end and say, this is the production for the day, this is the mishaps, you know, the errors, and this is where we are in real time, which is huge because, you know, metrics abound. I am governed by metrics, even in recruitment. So for those of you who are in sales or accustomed to metrics, for those of you who are manufacturing, metrics is king, and for recruiters as well. So there's a lot of, you know, anything that's data driven, you know what I'm talking about. So a couple of things when it comes to your career. Now, what will happen is in the near future, 5G will enable us to be able to hire remote workers, and this is from strictly a recruitment standpoint. And so the competition portion of the talent pool as we see it is going to be very tight, because now we can hire internationally or really globally. And so the competition is going to be really fierce when it comes to hiring in the very near future. Isn't just going to be directed towards, you know, this position is in the Los Angeles, California area, so we cannot hire anybody else outside of that geographical area. And so now it's going to be opened up on a global scale, which I think is good and bad, because you're going to have to maintain your skills to be able to then compete on a global scale. And so that's going to be the challenge. So my advice to you is make sure that you're upskilling. Make sure that you're attending a conference, whatever it is, on data, on medical usages of, you know, whatever your platform may be, because I know that, for instance, Republic, which is a sanitation company, is going to electric vehicles. So because I was in that industry, what I can tell you is that the traditional mechanics are going to go by the wayside, because not everything, some people just don't adapt to new technology as well. So some of the older mechanics are not going to want to do that. I will tell you that right now. And it makes it challenging as a recruiter, because then you're going to have to bring in more people with new skills, people who are open and are willing to be retrained. And if you want longevity in your job, and say for example you're a mechanic and you're just refusing to upgrade your skill set, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be out of a job at some point. You're going to literally phase yourself out. And so if you're ready for retirement, you say, well, I don't care. And okay, that's great. But for the rest of us who still have a lot of years ahead of us in the workforce, that doesn't jive very well, right? We still need to dedicate some time to upskilling, to make sure that we're staying flexible and open to all those changes, right? And I did talk about that in a previous video that I did recently about making sure that you're staying relevant in your work, and I will again post it up here so that you can reference that if you need to. Another example is the Da Vinci robot, and that is a robot that actually has been around for quite a few years. It's not anything new. It actually does not run on 5G. It doesn't need 5G, and not every single device is going to need 5G, by the way. It can run off on low latency frequencies, and that's perfectly normal. 5G is just going to enhance everything. It's going to make things a little bit faster and better, right? And so Da Vinci, you could be a top surgeon somewhere in the Netherlands and have a patient in Iowa, and all of a sudden you could literally sit down at a machine and actually conduct the surgery yourself from the Netherlands without having to leave your country at all. And that shifts the medical industry as well. And so when you're also looking at telehealth, where if you have, say for instance, a heart monitor, that heart monitor isn't just keeping you alive, it's actually going to be sending signals to your provider as to how you're feeling that day. And so all this data is going to be automatically uploaded to your personal file. Now, of course, security is always a big issue. People, are always concerned about being hacked, and hackers not only of your own personal information on a laptop, but my gosh, heaven forbid, your medical record gets hacked. And so what I'm seeing is that more and more companies are actually privatizing their networks so that your information isn't just getting blasted all over the internet, as that information gets transferred, say, from your heart monitor to your provider. So rest assured, those pieces are going to be in place. Again, I think that they're doing a really great job. More recently, I've had the pleasure of training with other companies that are in the medical industry, and I can tell you that they are truly trying their very best to make sure that all your information is safe and secure. And so the best way to achieve that is through a secured network. So just a quick reminder, this is going to be a long-standing series on other possible careers and what is going to happen over the next 10 years. What are the top new careers that may be blossoming because of new technologies, AI, IoT, 5G, as well as other possible avenues for you to choose from in terms of a career already in a pre-existing career. So maybe instead of just software engineering, you get into machine learning or AI or those types of things. So we're going to explore some of those things. I did recently do a video on drones. So if you're interested in exploring other opportunities right now, or just taking a look at a different type of career that might be a good fit for you, please, I will again posted all the videos up here for you to reference. But I just wanted to let you know that, because I don't think there's a lot of conversations about this subject matter, and it is really important. And even though it's not affecting you immediately today, what happens is, and when I did my drone video, I started to talk about the fact that, look, if you wait till the last moment, drone operators are already here. They've been around for a while now, and so you can earn anywhere between $50 an hour to $150 an hour, but people are already earning that. They already have several years experience under their belt. So when it becomes like, oh, it's the latest thing to be or become, it's a great opportunity, well, maybe 5-6 years down the road, you're kind of like getting into it a little bit late. That doesn't mean that you won't be successful, but what it means is like you really need to be ahead of that curve. And so these videos are helping you, or trying to help you get ahead of the curve before everything gets so saturated with so many candidates that, they're coming out of my ears. And some requisitions that I've mentioned to you guys before, I'll get like 500 to 600 applicants. Well, that's a lot. There's only one opening, right? 500-600 people, the odds are really bad. So I'm trying to get you to think in a different way, staying ahead of the game, staying ahead of the crowd. And so we're going to be exploring various careers. So I wanted to leave you with a list of industry verticals for 5G, ranking them from highest to lowest. Now, I did obtain this information, and just to be 100% clear, I want to read this off. It was a presentation by Matthew Bloxham of Bloomberg Intelligence. An amazing speech, by the way. His speech was given at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona in February 25th, or on February 25th, 2020, so before everything got shut down. This is just to nudge you. I think this is so critically important over the success of your career in the next 10 to 20 years. If you're still going to be in a career, if you still need to stay relevant at work, that is going to be, it's going to make you or break you. I hate to say it that way, but that is the reality of it. So again, thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Take care and have a lovely rest of your day.